Hello friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joycey Joy and today we will be discussing about the US recognition of Israel's West Bank settlements. So we will discuss about the current affair. We will also discuss what are the indications of this US support to Israel. Also we will see what are the implications of this decision, various related issues, and what is the future picture, how does the future look like. So this is very important under your international relations. In your GS paper 2 you have a topic called international relations. So from that perspective this is very important topic, especially in your mains examination. Also for your preliminary examination it's very important. If you have seen the previous year UPSC Civil Services preliminary examination questions, you will notice that there are many questions from international relations. So certain terms are given and the question would be which country is related to this. So such type of questions, geographic locations. So wherever there is a dispute, the locations become important. So all these are very important from your UPSC perspective. So from that perspective we will discuss all about US recognition of Israel's West Bank settlements. Now first, coming to the current affair, let us see what is the current affair. The US administration has recently declared that the Israeli settlements in the West Bank are not illegal. So here the US administration has legalized or said that the Israel settlements, the West Bank settlements are legal. Now, the view of the US in this regard, it is different from that of most of the countries on this issue. Now, what are the West Bank settlements? You need to have an idea about what are these West Bank settlements. I'll give you a brief history of it. In the year 1948, after the Arab-Israeli war, the West Bank, this is a patch of land which is about 1.5 times of that of Goa. This was captured by Jordan. So after the Arab-Israeli war, and Israel snatched it back during the 6th day of the war, 1967. In 1967, in the 6th day war, Israel snatched it back and Israel occupied it ever since. Now, Israel also built some 130 formal settlements in the West Bank and also a similar number of smaller informal settlements in the last 20 to 25 years. And over 4 lakh Israeli settlers are living in this West Bank along with some 26 lakh Palestinians. So, this is the population. And these settlers, they are mostly religious Zionist or religious Zionist are people who follow the ideology that combines Zionism and Orthodox Judaism. So the people who are religious Zionist, they claim a biblical birthright over this land. So this is the brief history. Now let us come back to our current affair. Now the US administration has declared that the Israeli settlements on the West Bank are not illegal, whereas certain other countries, most of the other countries, they say that it is illegal. Now let us come to the indication of it. What is the indication of such a support from US? So the decision of US is in line with President Donald Trump's Israel policy. Now what is the President Donald Trump's Israel policy? The Israel policy is unconditionally favorable for the Jewish nation. In the year 2017, in the month of December, Mr. Trump announced that US would recognize Jerusalem, a disputed city, as Israel's capital. So, in 2017, the US administration, the US President made an announcement that US will recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Now, Jerusalem itself is a disputed city. And then the US administration also said that US would also begin a process of moving the US embassy in Tel Aviv to Israel. So this announcement was also made by US. Now what is the tussle with Jerusalem? What is the problem with the Jerusalem? Jerusalem, it is symbolic of Israel Palestine conflict. So this city is a symbol of the Israel-Palestine conflict, and the tussle around Jerusalem, it centers on who gets to control the ancient city. So Jerusalem is an ancient city, and both Arabs, Muslims, Christians and the Jews, three of these religious communities, they want to get control over this ancient city, because three of these religious communities believes that Jerusalem is a very sacred city. So Jews, Christians and Muslims, three religious groups, they want to get the control over this city. And after the end of the first Arab-Israel war, which was in 1948, Jerusalem was partitioned into West and East. Now, West was given to Israel, or it was under the Israel control, whereas the East was under the Palestinian control. Again in 1967, as we said, 6-day war. So the 6-day Arab-Israel war, during the war, the Israel snatched East Jerusalem from Jordanian forces. And also the Parliament of Israel declared the territory had been annexed to Israel and Jerusalem had been reunited to Israel. So this announcement was made by the Israel Parliament during that time. Now, the predominantly Palestinian population in the East, we said the control of East was with the Palestine. So Palestinian population in the East lives under full Israeli control but cannot vote in parliamentary elections. And this marginalized the Palestinians who wanted East Jerusalem to be their capital under the two-state solution. Now remember, the two-state solution, this was a question asked in the 2019 UPSC preliminary examination. So the question was that the two-state solution is associated with which country? The answer was Israel. So this question was asked. So this is the way UPSC frames questions. They can take certain terms from international issues and directly they can ask you what is this term related to, which country can you relate this term to. So such type of questions can be expected in your examination. So that is why you need to have a thorough understanding about various terms and also various issues with regard to other countries. So this is briefly about the Jerusalem tussle. So in 2017, again the US administration recognized Jerusalem, which is a disputed city, as the capital of Israel. Now, this declaration, this ignored the international consensus that the status of Jerusalem would be settled as a part of peace agreement. So, the international consensus was that the issue or the dispute with regard to Jerusalem would be settled as a part of the peace agreement. But without giving much importance to this international consensus, US declared or US said that they recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Now another issue, that was in 2019 March, the US administration recognized the Golan Heights. Now regarding Golan Heights, the Golan Heights, it is a hilly 1200 square kilometer plateau that overlooks Lebanon and borders Jordan. Now the claim over the Golan Heights, it is disputed between Israel and Syria. So the dispute is between Israel and Syria with regard to Golan Heights. Now the two-state solution, that is with regard to Palestine and Israel, whereas Golan Heights, it's again between Israel and Syria. So this question was also a previous year UPSC question, preliminary question. So that's why I said such type of terms, such type of places in news, these are all very, very important, especially for your preliminary examination. In mains, they will ask you about the analysis, the impact of such issues for India. So such questions are asked in your mains. Whereas for your preliminary examinations, questions are very direct and they check whether you have an understanding about what is happening around you. What is in the news, whether you know it. So that is what UPSC check during the preliminary examination. Now, the Golan Heights, this dispute is between Israel and Syria, and more than 40,000 people live on the Israeli occupied Golan, and more than half of them are Druze residents. Now, Druze, they are an Arab minority. So these Druze, they practice an offshoot of Islam. Now coming to the contention on Golan Heights. So Golan Heights, they were a part of Syria until 1967. Now we know that in 1967 was the 6-day war. So Israel captured most of the area in the six-day war in 1967 and occupying the Golan Heights and annexing it in 1989. And after annexing the Golan Heights in 1981, Israel gave the Druze the option of citizenship, but most rejected it, and still they are identified as Syrians. About 20,000 Israeli settlers who live in the Golan Heights, they are working in farming and tourism. Now, the contention is that the annexation of Golan Heights, it was unilateral. So, the unilateral annexation of the Golan Heights by the Israel, this is not recognized internationally. So, it does not have a international recognition, and Syria is also demanding for the return of the territory. Syria tried to regain the Golan Heights in 1973 Middle East War, but the effort was not fruitful. And again, Israel and Syria signed a peace agreement in 1974, and after the peace agreement, the Golan Heights, it's relatively quiet. And again in 2000, Israel and Syria held the highest level talks over a possible return of the Golan Heights and also a peace agreement. So these are all the contentions with regard to Golan Heights. Now, with regard to Golan Heights also, the US administration recognized the Golan Heights. So, as we said, the Golan Heights, which was seized from Syria in the 1967 war, the 6-day war, and after that Israel has occupied it, and it is ever since a part of Israel. So, US administration recognized Golan Heights. So, these are all certain indications of the US policy towards Israel. How US is favoring Israel by recognizing the US is favoring Israel. Now, let us come to the implications of this decisions, or the steps taken by the US with regard to favoring Israel. First of all, these steps are illegal. So these decisions taken by the US, it is illegal. The UN General Assembly, UNGA, the UN Security Council, the highest decision-making body of the United Nations, UNSC, the ICJ, International Court of Justice, they have all stated that the Israeli settlements on the West Bank, it is illegal. So all the multilateral organizations, all the international forums, altogether they have said that the Israel occupations or the settlements in the West Bank are illegal, but still the US is favoring it. Now again, the UN Security Council, the UNSC, has asked Israel to stall all the settlement activities, but Israel has not paid any attention to this international opinion. Now, Israel's defiance of international opinion on West Bank settlements, it is now also getting the US support. So already Israel was paying very little attention to the international voice. Now it is also getting the support from the US. So this has complicated the issue. Now again, the Trump administration has declared that it has recognized the West Bank settlements of the Israel. So this is actually challenging the international laws and the consensus on the issue. So there has already been a consensus on this issue, and also certain international agreement or international recognition was made. So US support on Israel, this is complicating the matter. And with the recognition of the Jewish settlements in the West Bank, US has strengthened Israel's religious right. So according to Israel, they claims that their religious right is to annex this settlement. So this is what the US is also supporting for. Now again, this has complicated the already started peace process. So the peace process or the peace agreement was already in process, and this has been complicated, and this will stall now. The peace progress or process was between the Israel and the Palestine. So this peace process will stop now because US is favoring Israel. And if Israel goes ahead with the annexation of the settlements, now US has recognized the settlements. Now if Israel is moving forward with the annexation of these settlements, then definitely this will be an end to the process called two-state solution. So as I said, the two-state solution, this was a previous year 2019 UPSC Civil Services Preliminary Examination question. So if Israel continues with the annexation, or it moves ahead with annexation of the settlements, then this will be the end to the two-state solution. Now you can find the PDF of this lecture on our website www.studyiq.com. You can also follow my Facebook page for more video updates. You can write to me at joyce.studyiq@gmail.com for any of your queries and clarification. Thank you.